Shalom, brothers and sisters of Yahuwah and the Truth. I am going to read from Fossilized Customs, starting with Mithraic Doctrine. The center of the Mithraic sun cult was at Rome. That's number one. Number two, the leader of the ritual service was titled Pater, Latin for father, or inherited by the priestcraft of Catholicism against Mattiyahu 23:9, and they wore cruxes as amulets with costumes of black, having Nehru collars, or originating from the Indo-Iranian roots. 3. There was a Pater Patratus, or Patratus, over the Paters, a Papa or Pope. 4. The hierarchy initiates below Pater were called brothers. 5. The cult was for men only. 6. The cult had the Trinity, Mithras, Rashnu, and Vohumana. 3 persons, but yet one. Just like how they tried to make a Trinity with... My apologies. I'm going to continue.
What happened?
What we didn't want to happen today.
Oh, wow. Even before anything could go on?
Yes.
Oh, I'm done. Here you go. You can...
Seven.
Oh, sorry. Oops, I didn't know you were recording.
It's okay, baby.
Oh, you might not. Yeah, you might want to restart.
7. Sunday was kept hallowed in honor of Mithras the sun, called Mithras Solus Invictus. Sorry, I got all twisted up there for a second. I was trying to explain that there was a Trinity created also in the Catholic Church, or the Catholic Circus, which consisted of their JC, God, and the Holy Spirit. And it's one, it's not a Trinity. And JC is not the name. But I'll continue. The Solus Invictus. This has produced our popular name for the first day of the week, Sunday. The pattern of resting on Sunday comes to us directly through what is called the Blue Laws, enforced first throughout the Roman Empire, then through the Western traditions into our New World. The edict was initiated by Constantine I, forbidding officials, artisans, or merchants from engaging in any work on the Sunday, to give honor to the sun Mithras. Number 8. There were 5 levels within the hierarchy. 9. December 25th was observed as Mithras' birthday, called Natalis Invictus, the rebirth of the winter sun unconquered. 10. Initiates had to undergo a ritual sprinkling, a fusion which involved being under a bull or Taurus, which being cut to death allowed the initiate to become saturated. The custom of bloody bullfights seen in Spain echoed this cult's behavior. The custom of performing Christian baptisms in the spring at Easter time will take on greater meaning as you learn the following information. 11. Special value was attributed to the moral virtues of religion, truthfulness, purity, and generosity. 12. Mithraeus would enter paradise, a Persian word itself, also called the Elysian Fields, Nirvana, and Netherworld, by the 3 steps: A, the good thought, B, the good word, and C, the good deed. Another set of 3. Another Trinity. 13. The cult supported the divine right of kings, including emperor worship. 14. The pater, or father, stood at one end of an oblong room performing mysterious blood rituals. There was an indoor altar at his end on which a victim, Latin host, was sacrificed. They had a sun-shaped wafer disc like the Egyptians, and the assembly knelt, sat, and stood in unison. It was during this time of the clash when Christianity and Mithraism merged that Jerome translated the Greek writings of the New Testament into Latin 391 to 403. His real name was Eusebius Arimonius Sophronius. That's a tongue-tied mouthful there. He took the Greek word stauros, beam, stake, or pole, and carried it over to the Latin word crux. This was an important shift in the meaning of the original word. The Hebrew term was nas or nas, used for the word pole. That was the serpent that the serpent was lifted up on. To a Mithraic advocate, the crux had a significant religious meaning. It could be represented as an X or a vertical line crossed horizontally. In the spring, when the Mithraeus sacrificed a Taurus or bull, the sun was crossing the celestial equator and was in the zodiac sign of the Taurus. Zodiac actually means animal figures, related to our word zoo.
Come on, that says your brother.
These pagans allegorized or interpreted this as the sun Mithras overcoming the bull, crossing the celestial equator. So the cross was their most cherished religious symbol. The cross, symbols of many different pagan cults from around the world, is what scholars call the symbol of the sun, par excellence. The words we have inherited from Jerome's Latin translation include cross, crucifixion, and crossier. So cross is a Latinism. In one of the Babylonian forms, it was a tilted crux with an arrow point at the high end representing Nimrod standing on the tower shooting his hunter arrow at the skies. Let me see here. It was a bow and arrow. He may have even done this shooting at the constellation Taurus. This is a link with the golden calf, Apis. We still call the center of an archery target the bullseye. The sign of the cross was a pagan sign of overcoming. The Babylonian constellation Orion, the hunter or archer, represents Nimrod of Babylon. Pagans practiced astromancy, pyromancy, necromancy, and other occult forms of divination, and the cross was intimately linked to their rituals and still is. A black mass uses the cross and was practiced long before Christianity existed. Let's keep our spiritual priorities intact. As we move along and see if the mark of the beast can be linked in any way to Sunday, the sun itself in pagan worship, and the pagan symbol of the sun. I have a few theories myself on the mark of the beast. I have a feeling because the jab and the flu thing is, they're both mRNA, so I feel like those change people's DNA and make us not, like it would make Yahuwah not be able to recognize us anymore, because it would change us into some sort of different species than he originally created. That's my take on it. But we'll see here. It might just be a spiritual link or a spiritual mark. We're not sure. There's many different things that could be the mark. The RFID chip, I could go into tons of things, but lots of people have different perspectives on that. Since the Earth Mother was thought to be fertilized in the spring, Ishtar or Easter, the Babylonian symbol for woman, was also a cross with the sun circle above it. The sun did the fertilizing. If you research Constantine, you will learn he had a vision of the sun with a cross beneath it. The same symbol used for female today in biology, a type of ankh, A-N-K-H, if you want to look that up. The circle is also interpreted as the sun, and circuses, like the ones held by Caligula, were occultic religious displays involving animals of the zodiac and 3 rings, another trinity. The Olympic Games today use 5 rings as a logo representing the 5 original planetary deities worshipped in Babylon. In fact, it is still the custom to carry a torch lit by the sacred fire altar on Mount Olympus to the site of the games, where the games are held. An altar dedicated to Zeus is lighted with this torch. Excuse me, sorry. So all the nations and athletes who participate are unknowingly worshiping Zeus. That's why this book is titled Fossilized Customs. To open your eyes so that you can see them. The whole world follows after the beast through the fossilized customs. So you can see there are many ways we can be found practicing a lie and having a mark or outward sign.
This has to stop now.
Of following this beast. Human traditions may appear innocent, but if you can easily trace their origins to ancient paganism, they are abominations to Yahuwah. Odd things. People who are Christians today don't usually ever think of their Jesus as being a Yehudi, nor do they realize he is the rabbi and was called such by many in the Nazarene writings. Yet they also use the excuse that the Tanakh, or OT, was mainly written to Jews and by Jews for Jews. So commandments like observing Shabbats or making a distinction between the clean and unclean are now irrelevant for them. Quoting verses from the Tanakh will often be met with a response like, "But that's the Old Testament," or "That's Old Testament." Likewise, unbelieving Yahudim will not acknowledge the Nazarene writings either. Can you imagine Paul or Peter standing there quoting a passage from the Tanakh and being told, "But that's Old Testament"? They would have thought it was heresy.
No, I'm sick of getting pee all over me. Please.
Christianity's pagan connection. Constantine is the connection which bonded paganism to the belief in the Yehudi Mashiach. Excused as enculturation, paganism poisoned the message of repentance beyond all recognition. If you study any aspect of the growth of Christendom, you will only encounter one bloodbath after another. If you go in search of the worst persecution of Christians by pagans, you will find that it was a picnic in the park or a walk in the park, compared to what Christians did over many centuries to non-Christians, and even to one another in various struggles for dominance. Constantine made Christianity the Roman state religion, but its form was far from anything known to the first Nazarene. Constantine had to merge the multitudes of pagans, who were mostly his own soldiers, with the Nazarene faith, in order to control his vast empire. This reconciliation or merger of the Nazarene faith with Mithraism produced what we see today as Christianity. He made the cross the primary symbol of this new merger, thus rallying the pagans around its emotional meaning. The main issue at his Nicene Council in 325 CE centered on the date of Easter. Again, the most important point in the pagan mind when the sun crossed the zodiac at Taurus. Constantine confused Mithras and Christ together, borrowing from the pagan background of sun worship for every interpretation. Many of the pastors in Christendom know these things, but never bring them up. Most don't care, it's just a job. A few are afraid that bringing it up will unravel their world. You will notice that if you privately discuss these things with a pastor, he will pluck 2 or 3 verses from Paul's letters, then turn to stone, not wanting to pursue the real truth. He really doesn't want to get to the bottom of it because it will expose everything he teaches and lives by as being a lie. The secular population live in their own dream world as well. Some are idealists, blissfully going through life getting the weather reports and sports scores. These are many distractions to occupy yourself with, but very few people can get real information or put it into meaningful form. The Roman beast's most powerful tool is the calendar, as I called it the Great Dragnet. When people are made aware that old Babylonian rhythms are being kept in the annual cycles of Sunday, Christmas, Easter, and Halloween, it sometimes endears these rituals to them even more. The Eastern religions have become fascinating to many Westerners, and they search for hidden secrets in them and call it New Age. One recent movement of a New Age cult has been the embracing of the Statue of Liberty as an idol. They place lilies near a plaque which display a prayer to her as the Earth Mother. The liberty she offers the people of Earth is liberty from the Creator's pattern for living, which is blasphemy. Why do the nations conspire and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth take their stand, and the rulers gather together against Yahuwah and against his anointed one. Let us break their chains, they say, and throw off their fetters. This is from Psalm 2 and sums up how people seek to be free, to choose their own way to happiness. Queen Semiramis remains their image, although she was a witch. The image was a gift to America from the French people, a larger replica of a statue of the sun goddess on a bridge in France. The global secret societies linked to the Illuminati know all about this, and they just make sure